Marie Curie rightly said, and I quote, "We must have perseverance and, above all, confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that these things must be attained." Extending our warmest greetings to the people tuning in. I am Priyal,
And I am Trinalini.
and we are your hosts for this podcast episode of the Sissy Squad through a Shisha.
We are so excited to introduce you to all our guests for the day, Miss Antara Sarkar. She is the co-founder of the Pink Engine, specializing in the 3D 1 to 100 scale models of Indian Railway trains, and also the founder of Sunday Class, a free STEM school for unprivileged children running for 8 years. Additionally, Andhara ma'am is winner of All India I Volunteer Hero Award and also featured in the book Bits of Social Change. All in all, she is passionate about creating engineering products in India for Indians and by Indians. Ma'am, would you like to tell our listeners a little something about yourself that we may have missed in the introduction?
I think you've covered it all. So professionally, I'll just add some maybe fun facts. And I'm also trained in the Indian classical dance form of Bharatnatyam. And I am a big foodie and I also enjoy cooking. And I think I'm good at it.
That's great.
So
ma'am.
yeah, otherwise, yeah, all good.
I can personally resonate to being a good foodie. Yeah, I can truly resonate with that.
I had to become a good foodie because I realized that I love food so. Sorry, I had to become a good cook because I realized I love food so much that I wanted to make it for myself.
Same, even I have done my fair share of baking and cooking during COVID times, although it has diminished a bit now.
Okay.
But yeah, I am glad that you added a few fun facts, and I'm sure our listeners must be stoked to know that you like you're trained Bharatanatyam dancer as well. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Okay, so just delving further into our main premise for the day. My first question here is it's a basic one, but I'm sure our listeners would love to know this. How did you stumble upon the path to STEM, and why do you think that it is considered to be an unconventional field for women?
So honestly, I would say like unlike maybe a lot of what Indian women face or Indian girls face is that I in my family, in the community I come from, I'm a Bengali. It is women pursuing STEM is not really unconventional. So women getting educated is not unconventional. And thankfully, so I came from that background, from that mindset that my family, my community has, that it was almost, it was normal, it was natural. My mother, my grandmother, my mother-in-law, her mother-in-law, everybody has a college degree, everybody has a bachelor's minimum, if not a master's. So this was something which is, in middle class Bengali families, this is not really unconventional. And I only realized that it was when I moved to other parts of India. So I live in North India. And that is when I realized that, women are seen to be, I think, inferior. And hence they cannot, cannot say, are not capable enough to pursue STEM. That is the thought process, which thankfully I don't think I have had to encounter as much, thankfully because of my background.
Glad to know that, ma'am. And I'm glad that you did not face too many hurdles while stumbling upon your path to STEM.
Yes, and
Very happy.
I would say, like, unlike, most women, not just in our country, across the world as well, who face this. But yes, so why this happens, I think, like I said, that, it's a cultural thought process. Women can't do it. They're not capable. But thankfully, I didn't have to face it as much. And
Certainly,
I hope
it's a
in the
pretty
future, less number of women have to face that.
truly. That's what we are working towards.
Yes.
Like small steps, but yeah, that's what
Yes.
our main goal is that only.
Mhm. It's a good goal to
Uh,
have.
Ma'am, my next question for you is following up on the previous question. What is the importance of diversity in this field, and what are some measures for inclusivity that can be taken up and implemented? Further, can you share some tips and advice for women aspiring to pursue a career in STEM based on their experience and challenges?
So importance of diversity, I think, is required in every field. So it is not something which is specific to STEM. But in STEM, maybe it is a little bit more important, because what happens with diversity is that it brings in different perspectives. So it opens up, your mind, your thought process. And in that, it's not just an individual's, thought, or the widening of thoughts rather, which is happening. It then kind of, from that individual, it goes into a group, it goes into an organization, and ultimately from that diversity, entire humanity benefits, because everybody's viewpoints are included. And that, I think, is very important, in like I said, in every field, but specifically in STEM, because in STEM, when you're pursuing sciences, your mind has to be open. You cannot have a closed, narrow point of view, because then you will not really, be able to do anything in science. So you have to have an open mind. And as for women, pursuing a career in STEM, one advice I would give, which I don't think I received it, at least not at a younger age, is, unfortunately, because like I said, now where I live, it is not expected that women know science or know technology or know engineering. And for that, I never came from I never had this thought that I need to speak about it all the time, that I need to tell people about it, that I need to be loud about it. But unfortunately, I realized that that is the case. Because even though I run a STEM school and I run the Pink Engine, which is a company based so much on technology, I realized people assume that whatever work was being done by men. If I have made something and put it up, it's assumed that my husband has done it for me or has helped me do it, that I am somehow incapable of doing a tech thing on my own. Even if it's something like a reel, like if it's, even if I've made a really good reel, the assumption is also, he's helped you, or, something of that sort. And or the assumption is that I have studied humanities or commerce. Nothing wrong with that. But why would you not assume that I've studied science? That's my problem. And so women, unfortunately, you have to be very loud about the fact that you are a STEMinist, that you are pursuing the sciences. And maybe that is how, when people hear it over and over again, and when many girls start saying that they're pursuing STEM, then one day you don't have to shout anymore, because that becomes the normal, that every girl, every woman can, if wants to, can pursue the sciences.
Yes, ma'am, that's true. And I feel great that you have been brought up in an environment where you did not have to face such stereotypes. And you rightly said that there has to come a point where we have let the other people know that it is normal for women to pursue a career in STEM.
Which now I have to do the shouting, which I didn't have to do earlier, but now I have to constantly emphasize on that.
Right, we'll have to be vocal about this issue so that we reach
Yes.
the masses.
Yes.
Now, another question that I have, there is no denying that children would lead the building blocks to our future, children or the younger generation per se. So, a question that stems out for me in this is that what do you think about children reading and learning STEM subjects? And how do you think that will help them in life in a general way also?
Okay, so I truly believe that, and that is why I started Sunday class, because I realized, especially in the Indian education system, everything was, though apparently we were teaching kids STEM, it was just out of books. It was a very theoretical concept of STEM, and that is why Sunday class was started, so that everything would be hands-on. So whatever we are doing has to be hands-on. So if it's a circuit that my kids are designing, it's not on the blackboard. They're literally, putting things together and making a circuit, or using a microscope, or actually taking different, 20 different objects in the house and testing what is acid and what is base. And all of these, I feel, really opens up the world for the children. So that is why STEM is important, because before that, they had no idea that when you look through a microscope and you see a leaf or you see your hair, there are these tiny little parts that come together and has made that. The entire world is made out of atoms. These are things that kids didn't know, at least the kids I teach. And by giving them that, introducing them to all of this, it really opens up your I mean, from a classroom, and the entire world becomes your classroom. So it's not just a room, the entire world is your classroom, because you realize that everything around you comes from you. There is some science, there's some engineering, there's some technology that is going on in everything that you do. So it could be from like a little leaf, or it could be the bulb in your house. And I think that is why STEM is important for children.
Glad to know that. And I can totally agree. Like reading from a book or reading from a blackboard, that gets monotonous at times. And
Mm,
when there's like a practical element involved, you yourself feel more interested and you're
yes,
intrigued. You're curious to know what's happening and
correct.
why is it happening. Although it
Right.
might be something as basic as a light bulb or a chair, even for that matter.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, truly. So I really appreciate the way that you're speaking right now. I mean, it's so jolly and we're talking about something so important, and yet it is not boring at all to listen to it.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
So, ma'am, my next
Yes.
question for you is, you must have taught a lot of students till now, a lot of children till now.
Mhm.
So how do you make sure to let your students know that you will be a constant support for them? And also, how do you deal with challenges such as language barriers?
Well, honestly, how I let them know is simply to be there. So I have shown up over and over and over again. I have shown up when nobody else has shown up. I have shown up when their parents haven't shown up. And they know that I am available all the time. So it's not, I mean, the class, we call it Sunday class because the class is conducted on Sunday. But I'm in touch with the kids all 7 days a week. I'm available to them all the time. So every single day, I am solving a problem. I am solving, dropout kids, trying to get him back into school. I am, figuring out how to pay for somebody's school fees. Somebody's, family's had a medical issue. So it's, literally just showing up is the only way to go. And that is what I have done. That has been my mantra, that you might not be perfect. You might not always know what to do, but just being present can make all the difference. So that, and as for language barrier, for me, I mean, I speak 3 languages. So I speak Hindi, English, and Bengali at home. So we are based in Uttar Pradesh, where Hindi was necessary. Thankfully, I speak that language, and so for me, as such, language was not a problem. But for the kids, yes, in terms of English, because they didn't know English at all, and I have spent like a huge amount of effort and time in teaching them that. But for me as such, I would honestly say that language, I mean, they do speak their local dialect, which is not pure Hindi, which is, yeah, but I can understand it.
Yes, ma'am. I agree to the fact that children at a young age should have a constant support with them, because when you have a conscious support when you are a child, I believe it really helps them to grow into a better person when they are older. Um, and I really think that children at a young age should be taught STEM more in a
Mhm.
practical way, so that they are able to understand the world in a better way. It not only helps them in a professional manner, but also
Mm.
helps them to figure out their lives.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to a slightly lighter note. I'm
Yeah.
sure that you're being interviewed by college students. I'm sure you must be getting nostalgic about your own college days. And
Yes.
personally, college really helps you shape you up into a person, and like helps you shape you up into a good future self, the best version of your future self that you could ever possibly be. It acts
Mhm.
as a great catalyst in doing
Hmm.
so. So I'm sure our listeners also must be very eager to know that how did your days at BITS Pilani shape you up as a person? And did your college expose you to any opportunities that helped you explore your interest in STEM?
That's a very good question, actually. So, BITS Villani has played a role in both the things that I do today, in founding the Pink Engine as well as Sunday class, and that's because in BITS, it's, of course, I mean, it's Institute of Technology and Sciences, so obviously you're learning science engineering there. So that is the academic part of it. But what college, like you said, also does is, you know running a business or running an organization is not easy. Coming up with something tech, that's one part of a business. But, everything else, dealing with people, everything else, literally, is you need skills, you need, some experiences in that. And I think BITS Pilani provided that platform very well, because people from all over the country were there. And, we were organizing different, events, doing things together, meeting people from, places that we have never been to, never even heard of sometimes, remote places of our country. And I think that also played a big role. So not just the tech part, but also in, and how to run an organization or a business. And as for Sunday class, BITS Pilani was where I started volunteering. So that was 18, 19 years back, but I'm still doing it, and I'm still doing it all the time, actually. So that was the first step towards volunteering. So yes, definitely college has played a big part in my life and what I do today.
Truly, those 3 or 4 years that we spend in college, they
Yeah.
play a huge role. They play a magnanimous role in our lifetime. I would totally agree to that. And
Yes,
they really
yes,
help us shape into becoming a person that we aspire to be. So
yes. And
that is.
sometimes, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off in between. And
No, no,
sometimes
please go ahead.
during that time, you have no idea what is going on and you feel lost, and that happens. But eventually, I mean, even in that, you don't know what you're soaking in, what you're absorbing, and how that is going to be useful to you in your future.
Exactly. We can never know what we're actually capable of until we're actually thrown into those situations where we have
Yes,
to do things ourselves. So it
yes.
might feel very exhausting or troublesome at those times, but
Hmm.
I'm sure when we look at it like from the hindsight of it, so it
Hmm.
must be very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely.
So, my next question for you is that what special place does Indian Railways have in your heart, and what message do you want people to understand with what you create?
So that's a sweet question. And so I think, like a lot of Indians, the Indian Railway has a soft corner in my heart. And that's because I have basically traveled on trains throughout my childhood. And I think a huge percentage of our population does that we travel on trains. And so the Indian Railways has a bit of my childhood. It reminds me of my childhood, good memories, nostalgia. So that's my husband actually grew up next to a railway station. His house was next to a railway station. So he would actually sit on the platform and watch trains go by for hours. So we all have little stories, of of our experiences of the Indian Railways. And by the pink engine, I mean, why we focused on the Indian Railways is because we wanted a little bit of our childhood, the a train in our home. I wanted that, a reminder of my time, and nobody was doing it. And then so we created a product, or many products, which give people their little bit of childhood. That reminds them, when that trainer is sitting in their homes, they look at it and it gives them happy memories. It reminds them of their adventures on trains, and their nostalgia on trains, and the food they ate, the places they went to. So there's so much that Indians have so much history. Each individual Indian has with the Indian Railways, and we want to give that to people, the little piece of childhood.
Yes, ma'am, that's true. I have myself lived a life where I've traveled a lot. I have been to many states in the country,
Okay.
and major part of it is Indian Railways.
Hmm.
And I have spent a lot of time traveling, and I really believe that as you grow up, you should hold on to things that are special in your heart, and we should be reminded of such things time to time so that we don't
Yes,
get lost in the chaos of life.
absolutely. Yes, because you're very, very right. You girls are very smart for your age, and and that's absolutely right. Because as you grow older, we tend to forget, the good things, because we're so caught up in everyday life. And like you said, having that train suddenly in the middle of a hectic day, and you see it sitting in your living room, and it reminds you. Oh, you take that pause, and it reminds you of your childhood and your happy times. Yeah.
Yes, in today's hustle bustle, we forget to savor the small
Mm.
happinesses, the small moments, which
Yes.
actually play a very good role.
Yes.
And we sometimes tend to overlook them because we think that they are trivial now and it doesn't matter and we have to grow up, but we should never let go of the child in our hearts.
Yes, always.
Truly. So, I have one more question. We know that technology and innovation are variable factors in our environment, and they continue to evolve and grow. In a matter of days, some new technology can come up that we might have never even heard of. So,
Mhm.
like for example, how has technology and innovation, for example, in advancements in AI in your STEM field, have evolved during your career, and how have you coped with these advancements? And further, how did these aspects help you in setting up your organization and guiding their progression?
So, of course, like you said, many technological advances, and because of technology, I mean, we were able to start the Pink Engine because of 3D printers. 3D printers didn't exist some time back, and they were definitely not something you were just buying off the shelf. And but that technology played a huge part. I mean, on today the existence of the Pink Engine is based on that technology. And specifically for AI, for the Pink Engine, we run, the website, ads, creating advertisements, SEOs, everything is done by us. And it has made life easier. It has made in that aspect. And I mean, we have not used it for, designing and all that because we don't want to do that yet. But other aspects of running a business has been made easier because of that. And I would actually like to talk about AI with regards to Sunday class. Is that in Sunday class we have always taught the kids, whatever is the new thing going on, learn about the world. So not just old textbooks, but rather what is actually happening in the world. That has been always our motto. So with AI, so of course we started telling them about Chat GPT, showing them how it works and all of that. But we've also been teaching them Python programming, which can help them in AI because it can help them create AI networks, neural networks in the future. So it gives them a skill, and not just an app on your phone, which is something like Chat GPT or others. But also actually being able to be a part of that change, actually use this as have that as a skill, use it in your profession. So we've been doing that in Sunday class. So technological advances have of course affected both the things that I do.
Certainly, even in our normal lives, even the slightest technological advancement can bring about a great change.
Yes,
And
yes.
knowing that these children are getting access to AI technologies and their advancement at such a nascent stage, that is truly inspiring to know. And I'm glad that you are taking this up further as well.
Thank you.
Fully appreciative of that.
Thank you. But the credit also goes to my husband, Dr. Anurup Mitra. So we do Sunday class together. So we are a team. Yeah.
You're a dream team.
Thank you. That sounds good.
Ma'am, my next question for you is that we all know to make a dream come true, we not only need motivation at times, but we need passion, we need discipline for it. Only then results can show up after years of hard work. So, what are some aspects, according to you, that drive you to continue your passion?
So I think in your question, you stated a very important point is also discipline, because it's easy to dream, but you need discipline to, make those dreams into reality. And for the Sunday class, the answer is very easy. It's the kids, because, them showing up week after week, month after month, year after year uh, is what drives me. I show up because I know they will be there, and they show up because they know I will be there. So it's, it goes both ways. And I think that's what drives me. And of course, there are moments where you feel disheartened, where you feel, oh, I've put in so much work, but it didn't work out. All of those things happen. But then, it'll be like that one little thing when, you hear about the kid has done, the kid has said, and then you realize, oh, I've actually made a difference, that, what we taught them actually had an impact. And so that kind of keeps you going, keeps that passion fueled. And for the Pink Engine, 5 years back, the pink engine didn't exist. Indian train, scale models didn't exist in the world. Indian Railways scale models. We are the first company in the world that make accurate 1/100 scale models of the Indian Railways. Nobody has done it before us. And people from all over the world, from from the UK, from the US, from Japan, from all over our country, are putting in their hard-earned money to buy something that we have created. And that feeling, that keeps you going, that keeps you motivated, that that this did not exist. You have literally birthed it, and now there are other people who trust you and believe that what you're making is worth their money. And yeah, so that keeps us going.
Yes, ma'am, I agree to that. I love seeing people and listening to people who have put in their hard work for so many years, and it makes me realize that you can only see your dreams come true when you put in hard work and you have
Yes.
passion for it and you work for it in a very disciplined manner. It's
Yes.
not a matter of a day or two you got motivated and you worked. It's a matter of discipline and passion, and I really
Agreed.
appreciate that you are doing that to two of your ventures.
Thank you. And I will just add to it actually, because especially in terms of volunteering, unfortunately, I've seen this a lot, that, that spark for 2 weeks, that, I'll be there, I'll be teaching the kids, I'll take care of it. And then it's not there. I need to go to a trip, I need to go for a birthday party, whatever. And I've seen it so many times over and over again that it used to be very disheartening for me, honestly, because I would trust people to take care of the kids like I take care of the kids, which was wrong on my part to expect. But then, if you come and say that I'm going to do it, I would believe you, right? And but over time, I realized that what is important to me will not be as important to other people, and what is important to me naturally will, my discipline, my commitment will be natural towards it because it is important to me.
Right. I truly agree with the both of you. If you want to achieve something like in such a big scale, you have to have an unwavering bent of mind towards it. Like you
Yes.
can't just give up in it like in a moment's time and like abhi acha lag raha hai, so we can do it another baad mein dekhenge. It can't be
Right.
like that.
No.
So truly appreciative of you for that. I have one more question moving forward. Um, See, we know that maintaining an optimum balance between our work and our personal life has become an inevitable aspect for us to potentially survive also in this world. So, just wanted to know that what is your perspective on maintaining a work-life balance in a demanding STEM career?
Well, I think for me, it won't maybe resonate with a lot of people, rather, because I don't do a 9 to 5. I'm not working for somebody else's organization. These are things that I have created from scratch, and running the Pink Engine, running Sunday class, and running my home. I think all three are equally important to me. And so for me, it's not work-life balance. This is my life. And this is important to me. And therefore, I do it. So, of course, on some days, my home will take priority. On some days, the trains will. Some days, the kids will. Mostly it's the kids because they have more emergency situations that I need to handle. But for me, this is my life. This is a life I have chosen, and it really depends on the day, on what is the priority for the day, and that's how I do it. But I understand. But if it's a normal 9 to 5 that you're doing, then definitely after 5, or when you're home, you should be cut off, and you should be at home, be with your family, enjoy that time. But my life is a little different.
I love the fact that you did not differentiate between work and life and you counted it as a potential whole in life. I really love that.
Thank you.
And it was glad to know that you do not differentiate on these factors and you treat them all equally. Like they're all indispensable factors in your life, and
Yeah.
that is what matters truly.
Yes.
Matt, my question for you is that you have been teaching children for so long now. We are sure that you have a few special moments in your heart, whether it's from Pink Engine or from STEM class on Sundays. Uh,
Mhm.
I would really appreciate if you could share some of those moments with us.
Um, Lots and lots of moments, of course, over the years, and when you're, dealing with so many children, of course. Uh, some, I think, like I said before, that when because the children come from backgrounds which are so difficult, that I am constantly like fighting for them, essentially. Be it with the society, be with their, parents, with their family. It's a constant fight. It's to help them make their lives better. And sometimes, you feel like, is it, am I doing anything worthwhile? Does it actually make a difference? And then suddenly, it's Mother's Day, and then I'll wake up and my phone is like bursting with messages and videos and calls from all the kids. And we go to class on Sunday, and last year, remember, the boys had all gotten together, and they actually crafted flowers and made a whole flower bouquet for me secretly, and presented that. And then you're like, oh, okay, that feels wonderful. And then another, I think, the thing which is close to my heart, two incidences are, we teach the kids a lot also, non-academic things, but things which socially we feel are very important. So it's about menstruation, that periods are normal, talking about LGBTQ plus rights. And we see impact there, about how a girl, there was a little boy wearing a sari and somebody teased him, and one of our girls went and stood up for that little boy and said it's absolutely okay if that happens. Then our boys now, actually, because of, I mean, I had conducted a session on menstruation, and in Sunday class, talking about periods, boys, girls, everybody, it's absolutely normal. Okay, so it was something that I was told by many people not to talk to the boys about it. And I said, there is no point in having a session if you're, how will you remove stigma if you don't talk to half the people in the class, right? So I insisted, and today my boys go out and buy pads for their, for their relatives, for their sisters, for their, female family members. And these things they're not necessarily lovey-dovey cute things that you want to hear from children, but these things make me so happy and make me so proud of the kids, of Onurup, my husband, of myself, because we have all of us have put in that effort, put in that time over years now, and in these ways they show up. And I think that makes me very, very happy. These are very good memories that I have, and I hope I'll have more of these as the years go by.
Yes, ma'am, I truly agree. And one point that you pointed out, that now the boys of the class go out, they know, they're aware of what
Yes.
menstruation is. I remember when I was in class 8th, 7th, 8th, I remember
Mhm.
my class teachers having a session on periods and menstruation, and they asked the boys to move out of the class.
Mm.
It
Mm.
was
Yes.
That was one time, and I am so
Yes.
happy that boys now, because people like you, they know what is right, they know
Yes.
that it's normal. And I genuinely believe that when you're working hard for something so big, these small things that come in way unexpectedly, these things
Mhm.
keep you moving, these things keep you
Yes.
motivated.
Yes.
And this is the real fruit of that hard work. It's
Yes.
never some a result. It's these things,
Correct.
these children coming up and telling you thank you, wishing you Mother's
Mm.
Day. This is
Yes.
important.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing you mentioned, Mrinali, about the school thing, in fact, all our children told us that I mean, they studied in different schools, and they all said that, whenever there was a talk or session on periods in their schools, the boys said, we were always sent out, so we never knew what the talk was about. And so today, I remember when I was conducting the session, and I was talking about how I gave them pads. I literally like handed pads to them and said, this is not a bomb. You don't need to wrap it in paper and black plastic, and this is, not going to burst and harm you. And then I mentioned about how, the blood drops fall on the pad. And the one of the boys said, like, I always wondered what was the blue thing coming out of a girl's body, the blue fluid. And so I was like, it's not blue, it's just blood. And so, yeah, so that's the thing. And another boy said, I had no idea that my mother and sister, go through this every single month. And they, they have cramps or headaches or whatever, but we never knew, and they've always hidden it from us. And now we can, help them when they're on their periods. So yeah. So but like, what your experience, unfortunately, is the experience in most schools, and that's not the way it should be. Our education institutions should be where this change happens, and it is in fact where that stigma is reinforced.
Truly agree with you on this. And yes, there is an age old saying that boon boon se hi sagar banta hai. So we
Hmm.
have to be those little drops so that we can
Yes.
form the big ocean and
Yes.
fill it with harmony and a great future for all of us.
Yes.
We
That's
are
the hope.
almost at the end of our session. Just have one last question. And
Hmm.
since we are concluding our session, it has to be about the future. So
Okay.
just wanted to know that what do you think holds for the future of STEM, and how can it help in solving problems like climate change or improving healthcare? And also additionally, please do share some kind words of wisdom for our listeners.
Okay. For STEM, I think, because I think always thought this, is the change is going to come, like you said at the beginning of the session, from children. So in our generation, in my generation, we come from different generations, but in my generation, even though I come from a background where STEM was encouraged, most women are not, and that is slowly changing. And I understand that overnight, adults, that we are the grown-up adults, will not be able to change, use STEM to suddenly make a difference on climate change or healthcare overnight. That's not going to happen. But what will happen is to encourage not just boys, but encourage girls as well to pursue STEM. The more number of children who are introduced to the world of STEM, they can of course go on to study arts or humanities or commerce or whatever as they wish. But that introduction is needed, that support is needed, that a girl needs to believe from when she's born that she can pursue science, she can pursue engineering, she can do tech things, and not always live under the assumption that she is not good enough to do it. That, I think, is what is going to change the future. And at the healthcare level or climate change level, people should be working as they are, but the focus also needs to be at the grassroots levels, reaching out to children, and especially changing the mindset of the community and pushing girls towards STEM as well. So that, I think, is very important. And I think that would be my word of wisdom, is creating an environment where really anybody does, your gender does not define what what you can study or what you can pursue as a profession. That a boy can study humanities and a girl can study physics, and both of which is absolutely normal to do. And that, I think, is the message that parents, teachers, guardians, I hope, will take from this. And we will see these changes hopefully in the next couple of decades.
Truly, ma'am, and we have surely come a long way as well, but we have
Mm.
still got a long, long way to go. As we
Yes.
see in many education institutes that are mainly pertaining towards science, we see
Mm.
that the men-women ratio is sometimes
Yeah.
very disheartening, and
Yes.
we are trying to curb it as much as possible. And obviously,
Right.
it is not a change that will happen overnight, and it will
Yeah.
take a lot of time, but we're gradually progressing, and that is what matters, that we're building it day
Yes.
by day and we're going at it one day at a time.
Correct. So one step at a time, and we'll get there.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Lastly, thank you so much, ma'am, for devoting your time to our podcast and shedding light on such important topics. We hope our listeners were as enlightened and empowered as we are through the conversation we had today. Team Girl of Shisha sincerely thanks you for taking your time to speak with us and wishes you all the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much. And to all three of you, and I'm sure the rest of your team, that I really enjoyed having this conversation. And I know it was long pending. And those questions you guys came up with, I think, are very well thought of. And you guys are very organized, like I said. And these are things that I really appreciate. And just listening to your points of view, your like you talk about your train, how you used, traveled across the country. And so these kind of things are what I think I truly enjoy, meeting with people, listening to them. And you guys have made this interview a wonderful experience for me. And so thank you so much for having me. Truly appreciate it.